We're gonna move on to the low back. Go ahead and lay down flat on your back for me. And this one is a nice all-purpose way of just making sure that low back and that hip is nice and relaxed. It's a good starting point for some of the more aggressive stretches that we might work up to later, depending on your condition. So what we'll do is we'll just grab behind the knee and bring that knee up to your chest with both hands and rock that away, and you'll start to feel that sometimes in the glute, into the low back. Roll that as close to the chest as you can. With this one, you want to make sure you don't grab in front of the shin because that can put too much stress on the knee. So the way he's grabbing right behind the leg is perfect right there. Okay? And of course, we're going to do both sides. Make sure everything's nice and easy. Even if you're only symptomatic on one side, a lot of times those movement patterns and muscle imbalances can lead to greater dysfunction. So we want to make sure that you're getting both sides nice and pliable, nice and flexible. And it's a nice way to kind of check yourself too and see, okay, is there an area that's tight? Is there an area that's tender? What do we need to work on? And that's something that you can bring into your office when you see your chiropractor and say, hey, I tried this, I noticed it was really much tighter on my left. What can I do to address that? So after that's nice and loose, we're going to start from a very similar position. So he's going to bring that knee up to his chest again, but instead of grabbing behind, what he's going to do is he's going to switch this hand over to this side, throw this hand up over his head. And the idea with this one is to keep that shoulder on the ground, and he's going to gently let that right leg fall over to the left. Get that nice, gentle stretch through there. Now, he's pretty flexible, and we've got him nice and warmed up. If you can't go over that far, that's just fine. Go over as far as you're comfortable with. You don't want to overdo it. These are always gentle stretches. As with any stretch, you can stretch 100 times a day. As long as you're being gentle and good to your body, you're not going to overdo it. But if you're doing hard or jerky movements, you're trying to pull too hard, that's where you're going to run into problems. So just breathe, relax, make sure you're not holding any of that tension throughout the body. Now this one's really nice. Let's get another view. We can go on the other side. So he's going to bring that left knee up this time, and arm over his head, knee falls over. Now this is a great stretch because depending on where you put your knee, you can focus and target on different structures. If you lower it down the way he is, you can really crank that hip over and focus on those tight low back muscles. If you bring it up a little bit higher, you'll start to feel that stretch into the glute. So play with it. Bring that knee up and down, raise it and lower it until you get to the point where you're really finding where those tight fibers are. While you're down there, one last one. While you're down there, this is another one that really, if you're getting a little bit tighter into that hip and you're feeling like you really need to raise that knee up more to get into that stretch, this kind of ramps it up to the next level and targets a slightly different structure. So we're going to bend this knee at about 90 degrees. I'm going to cross this ankle over the top. And for this one, again, we want to make sure we're not grabbing in front of the shin. We don't want to stress out that knee. So he's going to reach in and grab behind this right knee with both hands and pull it on up to his chest. And as you pull back in there, you really want to focus on keeping those hips on the ground as much as you can, and you'll really feel that stretch across that cheek on the cross leg side. You doing okay in there, Amy?
It's very high.
Good. Yeah, that's a good one. And this one you can also do from a seated position. If you prefer, if you're in an office, for example, if you're feeling tight throughout the day. And this is a variation on that last stretch for that piriformis. If you're not in a gym, you don't want to lay down on the ground, you can also do it seated. So you can do it from a chair in your office, you can do it at your dining room, you can even do it on the couch. But it's the same basic idea. You have that knee bent, you cross that ankle over, and lean in. Now with this one, it's really important to maintain this arch. So make sure you arch that back a little bit. There we go. We're not trying to round the back and bring that chest in close. We're trying to bring that belly button in closer to the shin. Okay. Can I show you one more thing? So With this one, it's not so much rolling in and getting close, because I'm getting a decent stretch in here, but if I rock those hips back by maintaining that arch, I'm actually getting a better stretch here than I am here, right? And it's all about, are my hips rocked forward or are my hips rocked back? So this is another stretch, another variation on that stretch where we can do it in the office, on a chair. You can do it pretty much anywhere if you don't want to lay down on the ground. And that one, the same kind of thing. Bend one knee, put the ankle across the top, making sure you're maintaining this arch in that back, and just lean forward. You don't need to come in very far before you really start to feel that stretch. Look at his face, he's got it.
Very tight.
Right? Now, if you don't maintain that arch and you round and come in this way, you can still get a little bit here, but it's not nearly as much bang for your buck. If you maintain that arch and rock those hips back, you really start to feel it.